Hey guys, welcome back. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the 3 most dangerous mistakes beginner welders make and how to avoid them. And I think you're going to be blown away by the content in this video that I'm going to be sharing with you. But before we get into that, I want to say I really appreciate all the feedback that I've gotten from the other videos and the other reports that I've given out. And you can download this report below this video as well. Plus, if you're serious about MIG welding and you're serious about taking it to the next level and becoming the best MIG welder that you can possibly be, I've got something that is going to make you a little bit excited. So you want to stay to the end of this video, and I'm going to reveal to you what it is then. So just enjoy this video and make sure you stay to the end to find out what I'm talking about. So with that said, I want to go ahead and jump into the 3 most dangerous mistakes that beginner welders make and how to avoid them. Beginner mistake number 1 is not controlling the heat and the weld puddle, resulting in poor weld penetration and poor weld strength. Beginner welders always make the same mistake, and that is that they weld too cold and they're laying a weld bead and they think they're getting good penetration, but what really happens is the weld kind of sits on top of the metal and doesn't really get deep down into the metal. Well, a good weld gets way deep down into the metal, and there's a lot of ways that you can test that. So step 1 is to make sure that you always take your time and you get good weld penetration. Don't rush your welds. Don't let yourself get ahead of the weld puddle. If you rush the weld bead and you go too fast, you're going to risk getting a cold weld with little to no penetration, resulting in a weak weld and possible weld failure. And if you really want to make strong projects, if you're making structural stuff, you want to make sure that you're getting good deep penetration into the weld. So focus on weld penetration. What you're looking at here is a fillet joint, and there's a cutaway where you can see where the weld has penetrated the metal. So make sure that you're going slow enough to get good deep weld penetration, and especially on welding thicker steel. If the thicker the metal, the slower you're going to need to go to get that good weld buildup and the good weld penetration. Run multiple passes if necessary. You can even run multiple weld beads if you need to ensure the workpiece is as strong as possible. Now, if you're welding a steel plate and you had to bevel the edges and you've got to butt the 2 edges together and weld down it, you're not going to be able to weld all that in one pass. You're going to have to do multiple passes to make sure that the steel is welded all the way through. So if you're not sure, do a brake test. Now, what is a brake test? It's exactly as it sounds. Place one of your practice pieces in a vise, grab a hammer, and see if you can manage to break the weld. Now, if you want to do a test, do a weld bead with a not so hot weld and do another weld bead where you're getting good hot penetration, and you'll see after you beat it with a sledgehammer or just a normal hammer that the weld that didn't get hot is going to break first. So if it's structural, make it strong. Whatever you do, just make for certain that if you're welding something that's going to be used for structural purposes, that you've practiced and you're confident in your welding abilities. So don't go welding something that's going to have a lot of weight on it if you're not confident in your welding ability. And beginner mistake number 2 is not properly cleaning and fitting up the metal before welding, resulting in crappy weld appearance and poor weld strength. So make sure you always clean your metal. Welding on painted metal, dirty metal, rusted metal, etc. is a huge no-no. Now there's a big difference between a good weld and a bad weld. And the one on the left is an example of a sloppy weld. Now somebody didn't take their time and they just kind of rushed through it, and a lot of that weld bead is sitting on top and it's not even down deep into the metal. Now the one on the right is a different welding process, but you can see how much cleaner the weld bead is. So with MIG welding, cleaning metal is a must. Grind off the rust, grind off the paint, the oil, the dirt, etc. before you lay down a weld bead. You don't want the impurities from those things included in your weld because it'll weaken your welds. Even clean the mill scale. So even if you're working with clean metal, there's a layer of mill scale that needs to be grinded off before welding. And this layer of mill scale occurs as the steel is heating and cooled at the mill. So you can see the layer of mill scale, and once you grind that off, you're going to see shiny metal underneath, and that's what you want to weld on top of. Use a grinder for cleaning. So you can accomplish metal cleaning by using an angle grinder, and with certain projects you might want to clean the metal surface with acetone before welding. Now if you're welding on projects that are involving really good welds, like you're welding on chrome moly for an airplane fuselage, or you're making a roll cage for a race car, you want to make sure that you're really cleaning your welds good, and even going as far as taking a metal file and filing off the tubing that you're working on, or what have you. So beginner mistake number 3 is using improper safety precautions when welding, cutting, and grinding, resulting in possible harm to yourself or others. Now, safety always comes first. When you begin welding, you're going to be working with a lot of equipment that you may or may not be accustomed to using. You're going to be using things like cutting torches, grinders, welders, drills, hot metal, etc. And these things can do irreparable damage to your body if you're not careful and you're not using the proper safety precautions. When you've got little bits and pieces of metal flying everywhere, like when you're using a torch or you're using a grinder, you can put your eye out in a second. So make sure you're using all the proper safety precautions when it comes to that. Protect your eyes when you're welding. You can easily hurt your eyes when welding because of the ultraviolet light that the arc welding process emits. Now, you want to ensure that you have a welding mask with at least a number 9 welding lens, and I recommend a number 10 or a number 11 if possible. Protect your skin as well. The ultraviolet light can not only damage your eyes, it can also do a lot of damage to your skin as well if you continue to weld without covering up your arms and covering up your exposed skin. And that's why whenever you weld, you need to make sure you have long pants and a long sleeve shirt to protect you. So here's a list of things to wear. You need to have some boots, and you're going to have metal falling when you're cutting, so I recommend steel toe boots, a long sleeve shirt, some pants, and no synthetics. If a hot piece of metal lands on you, that synthetic is going to melt right to your skin, and you don't want that. So grinder safety. You'll also likely be working with a grinder at some point, and those can get very loud and emit a lot of sparks. So make sure you have some earplugs handy, and you have a clear face shield or some safety glasses. You know, those sparks they can fly and they can put your eye out for good, so just be smart. I've had times when sparks have flown and they've hit me in the face, they've hit me around my eyes because I wasn't being smart enough to have my safety glasses on. Now you're going to need some welding gloves and a pair of pliers. So make sure you have a good pair of gloves and a pair of pliers to pick up the hot metal, because those are going to come in really handy when you're working with hot metal. So let's talk oxyacetylene. Since you're new to welding, you may not have an oxyacetylene setup just yet. However, when you do get one, make sure you use precautions when working with it. Cylinder safety is key when you're working with high pressure cylinders like oxyacetylene cylinders, or when you finally get a gas cylinder for your MIG welder, that's under over 2,000 psi of pressure. So you want to make sure that you keep those bottles chained up and secure, and you should have no problem if you follow those safety precautions. And I wanted to say thanks to all of you for watching the videos over these past several days, and for your awesome feedback and all the excitement that a lot of you guys have brought on the blog over the past few days. I've actually added over 250 people to my email list, so I really appreciate that. And you know, when I was just starting out, I watched every video and I read every book that I could find on how to weld. And after going through a lot of trial and error process, I decided to take all the knowledge and the skills that I learned about how to MIG weld and fabricate, and I decided to create an easy step-by-step system for people to follow, beginners just like you, to learn how to make welds like a pro and build awesome projects from the ground up. So I'm now relaunching my online video course, 90-Minute MIG Mastery, and you don't want to miss what I'm about to tell you. When I was learning to weld, what I found was that if you use the right techniques and use the right tricks, and if you know how to apply the right welding techniques, you can learn to weld and fabricate anything you want to make in very little time, less time than you actually think. So you could be building awesome hot rods, motorcycles, barbecue pits, trailers, ornamental gates. You could be starting your own business from home, making a second income, or just having an awesome hobby that will shock your family and friends, instead of waking up every day only not to take that next step and making excuses for why you can't get started. That's what I used to do. and not taking a risk with something that I know that you're absolutely going to love once you start doing it. I know I do. I fell in love with welding as a hobby. So imagine waking up tomorrow and walking to your garage or your shop, turning on your welder, and creating something from the ground up. And I can tell you it's an awesome feeling knowing that you actually made that with your own hands. So the more that I learned about how to weld from home, and the more that I applied the techniques that I learned to my own welding projects with success, the more I realized that I wanted to help others learn how to weld from home as well. And as I saw other people struggling, and I would get emails from other people, they're struggling with how to set their machines up correctly, how to lay awesome weld beads, how to make your weld beads strong, how to know that you're actually doing things right. A huge passion started to grow inside me to help others achieve the same results that I did, and to help others take their welding skills to the next level, I guess you could say. I realized that I wanted to create a program that would go into detail and explain all the welding secrets and the techniques that no one really told me before. I kind of had to learn these as I went. So what I did was I sat down and I created the entire course using the exact same tricks and techniques that I used when I was learning how to weld, and the same techniques that I still use today. And this is real world stuff that I teach in this course. It's not just some theory that you'd get by spending thousands of dollars at some welding school. These are real world videos in this course that allow you to really look over my shoulder and discover the many welding techniques that you need to know to become a great welder. So this course is going to have instant impact on your quest to learn how to weld and take your welding skills to the next level, which is something that we all want to do. So take the knowledge and the skills that you learn in this course and start creating that first project that you've been dying to make. Start that new side business. Learn a hobby that you can be proud of. If you choose, then make more money with it on the side. And most importantly, have the peace of mind of knowing that you're learning an awesome hobby that will bring you years of enjoyment. I can tell you right now that this learning how to weld has been one of my favorite hobbies that I've ever had. I've had multiple hobbies. So, take the awesome welding skills that you learn from this course and shock your friends, shock your family, create some awesome projects, and you're actually going to shock yourself once you really start, you get going and the snowball starts rolling and you start learning all this stuff. So you're basically going to leave this program with a thorough understanding of how to MIG weld with confidence, so you can create welding projects without wasting money because you did things wrong. Trust me, I've done that. You don't want to do it. And so you can make awesome welds that are not only beautiful, but more importantly, making welds that are strong. The worst and the most dangerous thing that can happen to you and your projects is a weld failure. So especially when it's a structural project. So I'd love to keep going on, and I've really enjoyed teaching you this information over the past few days, and it's very exciting to me. It's changed my life, and I know it's going to change a lot of other people's lives. I really hope this content has been helpful to you, but if you're ready to take it to the next step, I've got this program coming out. I'm relaunching my course, and I'm really excited to be sharing this course with new members. So in a couple days, I'm going to show you exactly how you can get started. So I love watching people learn how to weld and gain a new confidence and excitement about life, and that's really why I put this program together, because I know that no one delivers these same powerful skills and techniques the way that I do. Trust me, I've gone through other videos and other books, and I was lucky enough to find some material that led me down the right path when I began, but the techniques have only gotten better as I've gone along. And after learning the techniques, I was able to achieve a lot of awesome things, like making awesome looking welds, being able to weld in all the welding positions, learning how to fit up and weld all the welding joints, and just having a hobby that I love and not making excuses as to why I can't start welding in my spare time. But most people don't have the time or the energy to research books to find the answers. If you're just starting out, most people just don't have the time to do that. So I decided that after putting together my years of experience, that I'd put it all together in an easy to use step-by-step course so that you know exactly what to do and how to easily make strong welds in all the welding positions, how to manipulate the weld puddle, and how to weld all the welding joints. So when it does come time to fabricate a project, you're more than prepared to fabricate with no problems. And you know, it's really not a complete secret that you need to have a solid skill set when it comes to welding, so you can make awesome welds in any situation that you find yourself in, whether it's welding on hot rods, motorcycles, barbecue pits, or anything else you have your mind set on. I'm going to show you exactly how to get your machine settings correct so your welds come out looking smooth and beautiful. And with this program, you're going to be head and shoulders above the rest of the people out there who are struggling day in and day out because they've never really learned the essential welding techniques. They just bought a welder and they just decided to start welding on something. That's the wrong way to go about it. So you know, if you learn these techniques in this course, it'll allow you to create projects with ease. Trust me. I just wanted to say that I really appreciate all the comments and all 250 of you who joined my email list in the past week. So, like I said, I'm relaunching my course, 90-Minute MIG Mastery. Or you can sign up right now on the early bird list below, and you can secure your copy, and you'll be the first to be notified when the course goes live. So the choice is yours. So the course is delivered online, and it includes over 30 videos totaling over 3 hours with step-by-step walkthroughs for you to follow along with, so you can learn how to make awesome welds quickly and easily. Plus, you're going to get 24/7 access to the course, even if it's 3 a.m. in the morning. And I can't really go into detail here, but I can tell you that if you purchase the course and you go through the videos, you're going to skyrocket your welding skills. You're going to learn how to MIG weld like a pro. You're going to start fabricating that much-awaited project, and you're going to master the welding joints, and you're going to learn how to weld in all the positions. And don't forget also that you can make money from welding from home, you know, if you want to start your own side business. And I know that you can imagine what life will be like if you learn how to weld from home, and if you had a hobby that made you happy and, you know, gave you that peace of mind, and if you could make money with your welding projects, hey, that's even better. So I know that you can imagine welding that first project and seeing the look on people's face when they first see it. And trust me, that's a good feeling. And as I mentioned, I don't have the time to go into all the detail about what's in the program, but in 2 or 3 days, I'm going to give you a link to the course, and you'll be able to see all the things you get by purchasing the 90-Minute MIG Mastery course. And since you've watched the videos I've sent you so far over the last few days, I want to give you a special offer. Check your email in a couple days, and I'll give you over 30% off my 90-Minute MIG Mastery video course. So just check your email and click on that one-time offer link, and you're going to receive this huge discount. And this will be your only opportunity to buy this at the rock bottom price that it's at. So if you don't lock in this price, then you're going to have to pay full price if you want access in the future. So be sure and leave your comments below the video, and go ahead and sign up to the early bird list